minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Because apparently I wasn't on the stream. How's everyone doing tonight? Well, this isn't how we were going to get started, but Kamil was going to jump on with me at 7 o'clock, and we were communicating throughout the day. And I think that something must have came up because I haven't heard back from him yet. But, if he doesn't jump on, we'll just reschedule this. Things happen. I know he has a busy life and a lot of things going on right now, but I'm going to give him a few minutes to jump on. But while we're waiting, there's something else we can talk about quickly. Something that I think is very important for everybody to tune in right now to. We see what these people are capable of, the levels that they will stoop to when they do not agree with you, when we have different visions, when we have different visions, different values, when we're not on the exact same page and we're not just going along in cruise mode doing every single thing that they want. We know what these people are capable of, guys. And what happened today to Jeremy McKenzie is shocking. I don't know how much more shocking it could be, though, with everything that man's already been through. You would think that he might be the head of the cartel or something. But in fact, this dude's never been found guilty of any criminal charges in his life before. So for anyone who just joined, thanks for jumping in. Doings, what's up? Ray Andrews, what's up? Grant, hi. JD, Kim, Paul. I just want to give you guys a bit of a heads up. Supposed to be talking with this really wicked dude named Kamil Bachouchi. He is a student from Laurier who has been essentially protesting the mask mandates by wearing ridiculous items on his face, which has worked and caused a lot of awareness. A lot of people are talking about it. I see the mainstream media is reporting on it. And he's also empowering others in his classroom to stand up for what's right. Unfortunately, Kamil was supposed to jump on at 7 and he hasn't yet. We're at about 7:11. So we'll wait around for a little bit and we can review this video here. And if he gets back to me, we'll jump right into the interview. So once again, not a big deal. If he doesn't make it on tonight, I'm sure we will just arrange it for later on tonight or tomorrow or whenever. But for now, I think it's important that we all have a peek at this what happened today. Of course, Jeremy was recording this video, but guys, I'm like, please share this out there. This is ridiculous. People need to see that this is what's going on. And I messaged him and I said, dude, I am so sorry this happened to you. Because I am. And his response was perfect. He said, well, today it was me, tomorrow it's you. And he's right, because these are the types of things that we're letting happen to everyone. So, we need to get loud. We need to boycott these places. We need to make sure all of our friends, all of our family, everyone knows that people who don't agree with them 100%, this is what can happen.
Yeah. So like I said, calling to give you just the courtesy of a heads up that you'll you will receive a letter kind of early next week letting you know that the bank decided to end their banking relationship with you. The bank determined that this relationship is outside of its risk appetite. So typically we
Outside, the bank has determined that this is outside of its risk appetite. What does that even mean? Outside of its risk appetite. What is the risk appetite? You have a Canadian Armed Forces veteran, okay, who doesn't see eye to eye with things that are going on in his country. Surprise, surprise, it's not a small fringe minority anymore. Nobody agrees with what's going on with it. So his way of combating what's going on in our country is bringing awareness, community awareness, having a circle of friends, and going on a podcast. What does that say about him? What does this make him dangerous for talking?
we don't call customers in these situations, but I recognize you've been a long time client of the bank, so wanted to call to give you the courtesy of the heads up.
Which part of it is too risky for the bank? Is that my military pension?
I'm afraid I don't have any other details.
So they just send you. They just send them.
Imagine somebody call, like, we need to all put ourselves in this situation right now so we can properly understand what's going on. Imagine somebody just calls you and says, you can't go to your bank where all of your money is. Your money that you work for, your money that you need to pay for your children, your money that you need to fill up your vehicles, your money that you need to pay a mortgage. All of a sudden, they can just hit a switch and steal that all from you? Make it so you can't go there and have access to your funds? What is this? What country are we living in?
The messenger guy, right on.
Just the messenger here. So sorry about that.
Oh, hold on, guys. Camille's here now. So I'm going to shut this down. Perfect. Camille is here.
They don't have any.
Give me a moment here, and we'll jump into that a little later on. Yeah, it's pretty wild that that's happening. So just give me a second here to get Camille on. Okay, add to stream. Hey,
how are you? Sorry about that.
I am good, and Camille, no problem. I am very happy to have you here. How are you doing right now?
I'm good. Had a pretty long day, but we're here. I'm happy to be talking to you, and I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, no problem, man. So, from what I understand, they've currently reinstated the mask mandate at your university, and you have found a way to comply to these mask mandates. In a way, I have seen. And sorry, this is going a little different because I had an intro written down, so now I'm just like scanning through it, so it doesn't go all weird here. Okay, what did I throw down here?
I threw you off.
That's okay, man. That's okay. I wanted to read a statement I read that you put out. It said that various mandates at the university and society at large have all been about training the next generation of adults how to comply. I have rights and I have freedoms, and you can't force me to wear a mask. It's dystopian and not right. We're living in a province, in a country where the government is trying to mandate thought speech and medical choice. When I read that, I was like, man, this guy gets it. Breath of fresh air. But yeah, before we go any further, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and where you're studying and what you're taking.
So my name's Kamil Bachouchi. I'm a fourth year philosophy major at Wilfrid Laurier University. I'm a Toronto native, born and raised in Toronto. And yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of you guys, I've just become more and more shocked at what I'm seeing around me, not only in this country, but in this really in the world. What we've seen with COVID, with the lockdowns, with the restrictions. I mean, we had it bad in Canada. I know other countries had it worse, but we can compare all we want. But I mean, what happened in Canada specifically is, I think, horrible. We had many of our charter rights and freedoms suspended until further notice. We had our friend Justin Trudeau take the role of supreme leader of Canada for a couple of years, telling the nation who's good, who's bad, who deserves praise, who deserves public disrespect. And I think many of us were a part of this minority that he cast out to be evil or inferior to the rest of the country. And I don't know. I'm sick and tired of this. Really, I don't know. I don't know how we get out of it. I've looked at some polls. It doesn't look like he's doing too well. But yeah, I mean, like a lot of you guys, I've just been shocked at what I've been seeing around me recently.
So when was it with that you decided that you were going to do something about this? Like what was it that finally crossed that line and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take a stand and this is how I'm going to do it, kind of thing?
So Laurier decided to reinstitute masks a couple days before the semester began. So just for a little background, I wasn't allowed to go to school last year, all of last year, because long story short, I refused to provide them with my vax status. I didn't think that they were privy to that kind of information. None of their business. So
As you should.
Right. I mean, it's I think, yeah, exactly. It's my personal medical information. I think it's important. I don't go around asking people important details about their medical lives. I think that same right should be respected with regards to me. So I wasn't allowed to go to school last year. I tried transferring, tried leaving the country to go to school in the States. None of these options were available to me. So I decided to come back and finish my degree, my bachelor's probably in August, like right before the semester began. I was like, okay, like I'll have to bite the bullet and go back to Laurier. Like I did have a bone to pick with these guys.
Right.
But I thought we were back to normal. Frankly, every time I think we're back to normal, they throw us another curveball. But I thought we were back to normal. A couple of days before the semester, we get told you're gonna have to wear a mask in instructional settings. So like the library, class. Anywhere that you're spending more than 5 minutes of your day on campus, you're gonna have to wear a mask. But when you leave this instructional setting, you're good, right? COVID disappears, and you're safe to go around and hug people and transmit COVID. But in class, wear the mask.
It seems that once you leave the classroom, the science changes, right? The science in Canada here, it changes from grocery store to the library to this setting. It seems that wherever it's convenient to certain people, the science changes.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's crazy. And you know what? I need to stop talking about the science or the medical aspect of it, because I get ripped into when I talk about that. So we'll stick with logic. My domain, my field is a philosophy major. But yeah, it's mind blowing. Just the hypocrisy, or at least the contradiction within their own rules. Yeah, we could get into that, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Like they have this face covering policy that is, we'll say, self-contradictory, and
Right.
It took just about a couple weeks for me to really feel like I was doing something wrong ethically. Like, I mean, like all of us, I have to look myself in the mirror at the end of the day and go, okay, am I a good person? Am I a bad person? Did I do a good thing? There's internal conflict building up.
Absolutely.
And like I would wear the mask like half-assed. To be fair, there's people that had it worse. I only had one class where I was being forced to wear a mask, and this was the other thing. I was being told you wear a mask, or we'll have you physically, or the teacher will have me physically removed from the class by campus security, unenrolled, reported to the dean, where I can face disciplinary consequences. So I didn't like that aspect either, where it really became this idea of student and master. Like it's like not thinking I'm in kindergarten as opposed to a classroom full of adults. I mean, we had a 35-year-old vet in the class, for Christ's sake, right? Like it's like the teacher. I think she overstated her authority. We'll say nicely.
Right.
And after a couple of weeks, I was tired of this. I mean, I was posting on my Twitter. I was like, venting to nobody, and my buddies were all like, just hang in there. My parents were saying to don't do anything stupid.
What we're on the parents topic. How were your parents with your decision to do this? Were they supportive? Were they kind of so, or how did you feel they were?
Yeah, I would say supportive. Like I've said this in I guess longer format podcasts. I don't know how much time we have, so I don't want to steal too much of your time.
As long as you want, man. We don't need to go all night. Don't worry. But
no,
go as long as you want.
Yeah, no, like always, my parents have always been supportive of me. As I'm sure you guys can assume, I'm not exactly probably the easiest kid to raise. I was very confrontational, and I don't know, I had a silver tongue, as they say. So I was a bit of an annoying child, you could say. But my parents have always allowed me to be the person that I am. They've always answered any question. I'd ask a million questions, especially when I was really young, like a million questions. They'd always answer. They would never make me feel like I was doing the wrong thing by being curious or by asking questions. And obviously they've known my stance throughout COVID. So I don't think they were shocked. Like I'd never worn a mask. Like even on planes, I'd find a way to, hold a cup in my hand for 8 hours if necessary, just to not put this, because for me, it was an ethical thing. It was,
right.
Like I said, I don't want to debate the science, although I'm sure you can assume my stance, but for me, it was ethical. It was, forcing someone to put a face covering on is nonsense. I mean, you can go on a plane with tuberculosis and give a disease that actually kills healthy people to a plane full of people. But if you have COVID, or if you don't have COVID, you have to protect and put on a mask. I mean, it's like the rhetoric here is it's self-defeating. It blows my mind, really. I don't know how the masked people, the hardcore COVID people don't see that themselves. But
I think there's probably, at your age of a young gentleman, you start to develop these feelings too, where you're like, yeah, I'm an adult now. So like, I don't specifically want to listen to what people are telling me to do. Like I'm educated. I can make my own decisions. I live in Canada and I do have rights. So I mean, you can tell me what to do, but I'm going to do what I want to do, kind of thing. Right.
100%. I mean, fundamentally, my political, you could call me an ideologue. I'm a hardcore libertarian. I think we have fundamental rights, and I think those trump all.
Absolutely.
We can get into semantic debates about what people prefer, but if we bring it back down to fundamental rights, there's not few discussions that can be had, right? So it makes it easier.
Yeah, I'm the same way, liberty or safety. I go with liberty. No and ifs or buts, right. Especially with what we've been through in the past few years now. So going back to the first time you went to class with this new mask on, what did you wear first? And how was that for you, like walking in there the first time of doing this?
Yeah. My first mask was a Ziploc bag. I think you have it on the top right there.
Yep.
It was a Ziploc bag with like these micro USB cables as like charging cables as my ear loops. And honestly, I was nervous because I knew my teacher was going to chew me out the second I walked in. But as I was like, as class was getting closer, I think I was in the library. I'd made the mask at some buddy's house, and then went to the library to like do some work, and the tension eased a little bit. But I walked into my class, and pretty much immediately my teacher goes, "Kamil, go put a real mask on." And I remained seated. And I said, "Look, professor, I'm not going to. This is a mask. Like, I don't know what you want me to do." She's like, "No, put on a real mask. Like, what are you doing?" And a lot of back and forth. I explained to her, "Look, like, this is following the face covering policy that Laurier has set out. You are," and every time I could get my little jabs in, I would. So, little comments like, "You're doing the bidding for them. Don't you think it would make sense that the face covering policy itself? If you're going to force an adult to do something, you don't think that it's important to know what your boundaries are?" And her argument quickly progressed from one of an authoritative stance to an emotional plea, really. And some people call me cold-hearted, whatever. She's like, "You know what? I would really appreciate it if you put on a mask." And I told her, "Look, like, with all due respect, no. You've been forcing us to wear masks without any reasonable basis. Every single other teacher that I have this semester respects the fact that I have personal autonomy. So with all due respect, no." And then, "You're so rude, whatever. It's not respectful." And I said, "You know what? With all due respect, try and be nice, because once my silver tongue gets going, it's game over."
Yeah, it sounds like you've handled the situation well and very respectfully at the same time, which is good, because I'm sure you've noticed that a lot of people who have oppositional views that don't share the same views and values that we do will often use demoralization as a tactic to try and paint a picture of people like you and me.
For sure. And I think, honestly, I definitely agree with that, but I think also on both sides, we need to get out of this paradoxical, never-ending ad hominem battle, and
Absolutely.
it's an argument that really, and from both sides, it sounds fanatical, really, from both sides. Sometimes when you hear people get angry, we need to all, I think, relax and speak, and have an effective form of communication, and I think and that's key. Obviously, when this first started, and maybe recently, right? Like, I can get emotional about this stuff pisses me off, right? Like, I'm a young guy. I'm gonna have to grow up or raise kids in this country eventually, right? And it scares the crap out of me. But I think if we can all take a step back, breathe, and try and come into it not necessarily happy, but at least approaching any discussion we have regarding this whole matter, not just COVID, but I mean, really you could say the political issues, with just approach it with logic and reason, we'll come out on top 99% of the time, right? It's when it gets overly emotional and then you let anger take over that you don't get your thoughts effectively across. It's hard for the other side to listen to you. I mean, you've heard a woke person screaming before. It's like you want to laugh at them, right? And
Right.
and they think it's my emotion. Sorry, I got the best of me, but they'll think the exact same thing of us, right? And sure, one could say, screw what they think, but it's important. We need to start communicating in order to get through this, right? We're all gonna have to live with each other at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's been done by design. We feel like
For sure.
we've been put into two separate teams, right? And really, we're a country that used to be in love and united with each other, who would do anything for their neighbor. And that's clearly what we need to get back to. But anyways, I don't want to get too off topic with that. When you wore your mask for the first time, what was the reaction like in the classroom? I gotta ask, like, were the other students like, "Wow, this kid's got some jam on him"? Like what were they thinking, and how did they react to it?
Yeah, I think the students. This was a small classroom too, so this was like there's like 15 kids in the class. I think the kids, they definitely didn't all love it, but the ones that hated it didn't say a word to me, and I got a ton of support after the class. Like when I walked in, it was like immediately it was like just people laughing almost hysterically, like they couldn't believe that I was actually doing this, because I'd been talking about not wearing the masks many times, like warning my teacher if anything, right? Like telling other students, look, like this I'm not going to wear this mask for the next 8 months, right? Like I need to feel as though this crazy institution, you can go through the Laurier website. I mean, it's a ton of nonsense. Like the school doesn't have the best interest of their students at heart. They I think they have their checkbooks, especially the dean. I mean, I've freely expressed myself. They can't get me in trouble for saying this, but it's a horrible institution. If you're a crazy woke leftist lunatic, you would love it. You would really love it. But it's not a place that's conducive to learning, and it's definitely not for everyone. And I wish I'd known that going into first year. But yeah, the reaction was great after class. Had people saying, what, good job. Like you didn't, especially, and I think the debate that I had with my teacher at the very start of class, I think that really helped solidify or cement the idea that I wasn't just acting irrationally. What I was doing had a logical foundation, and the fact that I was able to present that in a debate form with a PhD philosophy teacher, I think gained a lot of respect from the students that may have been on the fence.
Yeah, that's healthy. I mean, that's one thing that we've been missing for a while now is these healthy debates. And I know you've been a part of a few of them now on Twitter, these spaces that are starting to open up where people can come to the table and they don't need to just be censored and silenced. Like people can have discussions and then at the end, respectfully say like, well, thanks for engaging in these conversations, and we're leaving on different pages, and maybe we'll come to the table again tomorrow and talk, and we'll start to realize the things that we have in common, as instead of focusing on all the things that divide us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's important.
So I gotta ask now, when you went to class and you put the mask, or whatever we want to call this on,
it is a mask according to the school.
It is a mask. Hey, I agree with you on that. Now, have any other students decided to follow a similar path or to ditch the mask, or are people telling you like, oh, I wish I could do this, but I don't really have the courage to do it yet? Like any of that kind of stuff going on?
Yeah. Even in that class last semester, I had students that wanted to show up and revolt. So there was like 4 of us, which is like a decent minority, but I told them, look, like, I don't want to get you guys in trouble. And if I'm the first who's going to take the mask off, not even take the crazy mask off. But if we do this, we need to be prepared to not we can't just do this. And then as soon as something changes, you might get scared. You just throw the mask back on. Like if we're going to do this, we have to commit and really take the masks off. And so I think once people understood the magnitude, they wanted to do it. But again, like this coercion that the school took part in, which basically says conform without using your brain or without having an opinion, and we'll give you that piece of paper. That's the real problem. And that's why students don't want to. It comes out of fear, fear of, reprimand, fear of their teacher giving them a worse mark. And you know what, I'll respect where respect's due and kudos to these teachers, but probably 60% of the teachers at Laurier, maybe more, don't force their students to wear a mask. I mean, they might ask, they might, but they're not going to say, you know what, you wear it or I'm kicking you out. And I had a second teacher last semester who one day showed up like third last class and said, oh, flu's coming. Like everyone put on a mask. And I looked at him. I was like, Professor, are you going to have me physically removed if I choose not to wear this mask that you're now bringing up 3 months into the semester? And he looked at me. He's like, no, I'm not going to have you physically removed. So I should restate. If you could please wear a mask, please do. I said, thank you. You know what? but I ask that you respect my personal autonomy. Something like that. Probably could have been nicer, but yeah, I think the students, it comes out of fear, right? The students don't want to wear the mask, and you'll have students that wear the mask in 2 of their classes and then don't wear it in 3 of their classes, and it's based on the teacher. So it's really almost hierarchical in that sense, right? Like at the end of the day, if the teacher doesn't force you to, then you don't have to wear one.
Now, have you had any teachers kind of, pull you aside and commend you for being so brave and not just going going against the grain when it's right? I've met a lot of people in the past couple of years speaking out now that are very thankful and grateful for the type of things that you're doing, and because of their positions or owning companies or businesses or whatnot, they can't take the stance that we have because they're afraid they're just going to get canceled from life. So have you had any teachers say, like it's very courageous what you've done and we applaud you, kind of keep it quiet, but anything like that?
Yeah, actually. Obviously I won't.
I don't want to know their
names.
name. Yeah. We don't want to get people like that in trouble, obviously, and I appreciate you obviously realizing that. But no, I'm happy to hear that there are people that support you, and that goes along with anywhere in this fight. We were having protests when it was considered illegal and getting charged and stuff, and we would have police officers come out that would say, thank you so much for what you're doing, keep doing it.
That's awesome.
And it's the same kind of thing, right?
It feels good, right? Having someone in that position, the person, so the cop who's supposed to be fining you, or the teacher that's supposed to be, telling the dean, having those people almost come out and say, what, I support you. Here's what I do to help. So the cop would be not issuing fines. I do have my reservations with the idea of indifference and sitting on the sidelines and, being neutral, especially in a situation like this. However, I agree. It feels good. And having those teachers, even teachers DM me on Twitter or send me an email and say, hey, can we grab a coffee? Love what you're doing. That really goes a long way. The support is like, it's so widespread. It's so incredible. The messages I receive, like it's mind blowing.
That's where we get somewhere with this. Can you imagine if we could plan something one day where it was like, you go without the mask, your buddy goes without the mask, the teacher went without the mask, and then the person above them. I know that's a far stretch, right? But it's just, we're talking about role modeling here. In a perfect world, when we start to see other people standing up, and we empower others and become a little bit more comfortable doing those things ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's it starts it's one at a time. I don't expect everyone to come out of nowhere, decide, what, I'm gonna decide to like publicly do all this stuff. I think a lot of people don't want to be in that limelight. Like, if I had the choice, like I don't want to have to do these masks. I just know how much attention, how bright of a light it shines on these schools, and it's almost a sense of duty at this point until these mandates get dropped. If I didn't have a class without a mask, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd rather, what I mean? I'd rather there be no mandate. I don't need this, like these 10 seconds of fame. It's important, I think, to shine a light and bring attention onto these schools in order to hopefully, affect a little bit of change, because this needs to change. Schools can't be, mandating medical procedures and face coverings. Like, we have the right to decide, I think, what can be put on our face. And I feel like that's not a stretch, is it? Right? That's like the bare minimum almost.
I agree. And I mean, if we allow this now, what are we going to allow next?
Right. 100%.
So now, I seen you an interview with you. I was just kind of watching earlier when I was waiting with the Students Against Mandates. Do you want to shout that out at all? Is there, are other people from other universities kind of communicating with each other and in finding ways to stand up together against this?
Yeah. Yeah. So Students Against Mandates, I think those guys were like the first people to reach out to me and say, hey, like we saw what you were doing. We need to interview you. So I did that interview. I think the one you're talking about with Sheldon and Brandon, and we immediately hit it off. I think right after the interview, like once they stopped recording, I was like, you guys have to get me involved. Like, I'd loved what Sam was doing beforehand. And to answer your question, it's like it's a cross country organization. So it's not just Ontario, not just Alberta, Quebec. We have members from pretty almost every province, or people on the board from almost every province, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of members from all across Canada. And what they've done is commendable work, right? Lee, the founder of SAM, she was on top of this, like in 2020, 2021, like early on, she was saying no, publicly saying no. And everything was online for me. And I wish I had done more at that time. And I think we wouldn't be in the place that we were right now if as many people were speaking out today as they were back then. But, don't worry, speak out now. No, we can still use all the help we can get. But yeah, Sam does great work. So I'm now doing work with them. So we're having
Sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah. So I just threw this up, and anybody who's on here right now, and you guys don't follow Kamil, you can follow him on Twitter. That's his handle right there, KAM_BACH. And I'm sure there will be no shortage of entertainment on there, right, brother? With these with the mask. Every time I see a new one, I gotta admit, I just start howling, and I think laughing and comedy and a smile here and there is what everybody needs right now. And thanks for providing us with some of that. So you guys are calling all students, parents, and community members. Join us as we gather and protest against the Wilfrid Laurier and University of Waterloo mask mandates. So that is next Saturday from 1 o'clock until 3 p.m. at Waterloo Town Square.
Yeah.
So anybody who can make it out there, get on out there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm going to see if I can actually get there. I'd love to come there. And, it's really nice to see students standing up to this, because when this kind of stuff first started happening, I felt like that was the demographic we were missing, like the younger kids, and not you're not a younger kid, but I mean like the high school kids and whatnot. It was hard because I was thinking in my head, holy man, when I went to high school, if a teacher tried to tell me to put a mask on my head and do all this stuff, like we would have dealt with this way differently in high school. But it's probably better that we didn't. Like I could just see us doing walkouts and in all of that kind of stuff, or just not going to school, because that we were a little bit different back then, and that's how we dealt with things. But yeah, so are you starting to see a little bit of a shift in people your age with what's happened in the past couple of years? Do you feel like people are slowly starting to see things for what they are?
Definitely. I think a lot of people are waking up to the fact that we were, I don't know if it changes that much, but at least to the fact that we were fed a ton of crap on this. The constantly changing narrative to begin with. And I brought this, I like having, healthy debates with some of my buddies, especially like the ones who are like, pro mandate, or I don't have any buddies that are pro mandate, but at least pro, like, vax and, this false altruism that they've convinced themselves to believe in. But a lot of them didn't know, not the scientific facts, but at least a simple thing like our government telling us that one shot of this vaccine was going to be a dead end for, I think that was Fauci. Get vaccinated, and that's a dead end for the COVID. And it's a lot of people just weren't made aware of this stuff, weren't watching, were selectively fed tidbits of news on their respective social media sites. So I think as we go along, people are waking up to the fact that we were lied to, coerced, and and it's not. And I think that's going to provide a good shift. I think you can see that in the recent poll numbers. I'm not a big polls guy. I don't necessarily believe in them too much, but we'll see. Hopefully we get this Trudeau guy out. I don't know that I've been told, Pierre not the best, but I'd much rather have him than Trudeau. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that's going to jump down your throat and spew all my political views on you and all that. That's not my style. I think everybody should really get engaged, do their research, and figure things out for themselves.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions that need to be answered with everybody. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. We have someone right now that is not representing the people and
exactly.
not doing a good job. Our children have felt it. We have felt it. I've never seen this country more divided. It's time for him to go, right? Like that's the priority. And if we see issues with other types of leaders, then we're going to need to address them when they come. But primary focus for the time being is to make sure the person who's oppressing us can no longer do so.
Very well said.
You can only take on one thing at a time. You can't just fight the machine all at once. It's big, it's complicated, it's messy, and that's just how it is, unfortunately. But is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to go over? I'm trying to think. We kind of got thrown off there at the starting.
Regarding this, I think if you want to talk sports now, we can. But regarding this, I think we got everything.
Yeah, we got everything, man. So maybe we'll have you on another time. And thanks for jumping on, and thanks for doing what you're doing. And I think it's awesome. You've kind of found like a satirical way to deal with things, and a lot of other friends of mine who are involved in this resistance have done the same thing. They've found, memes and things like that they work. Like, it's incredible. Like, when I started seeing people take this angle to combat what's going on, I was like, you guys are stupid. And the more I pay attention, I'm like, this is incredible. You guys are awesome. Like, this is what we need to do. Like, look at someone like yourself. I know you got a following of 11 or 12,000 people or something like that, and you're making a lot of noise for someone your age. So that's important, man. Keep it up. And if there's anything I can do for you, I'm here. And it was nice having you on. I'll give you the boot, and we're going to go over and watch this video with what happened to Jeremy earlier. But I look forward to following you, and we'll catch up again sometime soon, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great weekend, buddy.
All right, take
Cheers.
it easy.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it from Kamil there. What a great guy. It's awesome to see so much passion in a young adult who clearly isn't just going with the system and doing what everybody thinks is right. So I'm gonna play out this video of Jeremy McKenzie that I had up here earlier. So he got a phone call from his bank today letting him know that he's been debanked. So we got into it. Well, we were just waiting for Kamil there for a minute, and I think I may have closed it down, so I'll bring it right back up. But what a incredible thing to have to go through. To you have like kids, you have a house, you have all these things you need to pay for, and you get a phone call from your bank saying, well, you're not allowed in here. You're not allowed in here anymore, and you can't come get your money. You can't. It's unbelievable. Let's play this. You're welcome to email your branch with all your money. Doings. I'm muted. Shit. Sorry about that, guys. We'll start it over at the where we were at. My apologies. Thanks for pointing that out, Doings. Love you, buddy. Make sure you guys let me know if you can hear it now.
Why would anybody want to be accountable for anything? That would be foolish. Sorry, continue, please.
Pardon me?
I said sorry, continue, please.
Okay. I understand the frustration. So also as part of ending the relationship, so as of today, you're not to visit any of the Scotiabank branches or bank premises in person without first getting written consent in advance from the bank, from management. So
I'm banned from the bank.
Banned from the bank. Your money is in.
Reach out and get written consent before you physically come on to any bank premises as part of.
Yeah, because I'm sure they're going to give
I'm
him
gonna go
written
out on a
consent.
limb and assume that there's no reason given for that either, and no one's accountable, and there's no one to call for that.
I'm afraid, yeah, I don't have any other information beyond that. Yeah, again, I know there's lots you can do online. Obviously, I'm sure you bank online already, but you're welcome to email your branch if there's anything you need help with.
I can email them, but I can't go and speak to them in person without written consent.
Exactly. So you can email the branch. You can talk about figuring out a way if there's anything you need to do. Yep, but you'll need to email them first. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot I need to do. I have mortgages and vehicle loans and business, like.
Yep.
And this is effective when? Like right now?
So no. So the way it will work, so you'll receive the letter, and then you will have 30 days from when you get the letter before your accounts will be closed. So it's not that your accounts will be closed immediately. The letter will spell out kind of the details of how things will work and next steps for each of your accounts. So you'll get more detail there, and that should answer most of your questions. Definitely recommend kind of that you start sooner than later looking for a different bank or alternative arrangements with another institution.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yep. Okay. But again, and so you'll have detail in the letter on each of your accounts and how things will. So, and you should have the letter. I expect it would arrive probably Monday or Tuesday. You should have it.
Right on.
Yeah, and the letter will also include some contact information there if you do want to raise any kind of other questions or concerns. There'll be an email address and a phone number as well on the letter. Although I will caution you, like a lot of banks right now, that calling that phone number, you may not get somebody right away.
Yeah, you don't get people when you call the bank. You get no one. It's kind of a mess.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So again, those were the key things I wanted to let you know and wanted to give you this call just so that you had a heads up and you didn't just get that letter and not have the benefit of at least a heads up.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. So just to recap, I'm being debanked. I'm banned from the bank. There is no reasons given. There is no one to contact, and that's it. Is that about right?
So just on there will be some contact information on that letter that you can use. And again, if there's anything you need help with in terms of your accounts, your actual kind of day-to-day banking services that you can't do yourself, online. You can email your branch and get some help from them there. And you can discuss with them if there's anything that you feel like you might need to do in person. But please,
Well, I might need to sue them because I feel like this is discriminatory because of my legal situation. But that's something else I'll have to talk to somebody else about.
Yeah, I understand the frustration. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's not. You don't though. It's not.
When he says that he feels this is discriminatory because of his legal situation, I don't know this, so I should probably ask Jeremy myself, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that he probably believes that they are doing this to ensure that he doesn't have the financial means to support himself legally and defend himself, because they probably realize that there's no weight to the case they hold against him. So, you put our country through this Emergency Measures Act basically because of this imaginary boogeyman right here. And, well, what are you going to do now? If the man can't cough up the money to defend himself in court because there's not a banking establishment in Canada that will take him, well, how's he going to defend himself, right?
Not frustration. This is catastrophically ruinous to most people. I can't imagine this is something typically people deal with, so I don't appreciate people saying you understand, because you certainly don't. Have you ever been debanked before and had your mortgage cut? I mean, my children live there. So what, were they just homeless now? Or like, these are things I have to deal with now. Yeah. So please don't, condescend to me and say that you understand my frustration. This is far beyond frustration, sir.
Okay. That's I get it.
Is that it? Otherwise I clearly, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I just wanted to let you know, though, there'll be a bit more detail in the letter around your mortgage, but your mortgage will continue to run until I think your mortgage matures on kind of next November 2024. Yeah. So that will continue to run up until that date. The bank won't be renewing the mortgage at that time, but I just wanted to reassure you that will continue. It's not that the bank is terminating that.
How do I pay the mortgage if I don't have a bank account?
So that is something that you can email the branch, and you can work through kind of how that will work and making arrangements with an alternative institution.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Does this letter come with any pamphlets from the government regarding MAID?
There are no pamphlets from the government, no.
No, so the bank's not. Okay. I just didn't know if there was a partnership regarding medical assistance in dying or anything, but all right, that's it.
Not that I'm aware of. Okay. Well, thank you, Jeremy, for the time and for.
Thank you, Jeremy, for
thank you so much.
Letting me take your bank away. Ugh, what a mess.
It's Canada.
He's not wrong. That's Canada. All right, guys. Well, anyways, it was nice of Kamil to join us there, and what a good dude. You guys should go give him a follow on Twitter, and we will see what he has in the near future. Next week, there's a protest on that flyer that's on his page, and I'll be sure to share it out there, and hopefully we can get as many people out there supporting those students as we can. Hope you all have a good weekend, and I'll be putting something together to jump on one of these streams early next week with another guest. Cheers.